What's up? Welcome back for another episode of the Currency Club. Today's special guest is Rashad Giles, and I'm very excited to have him here. And that's because we share a passion around food. So, y'all, he's a foodie too. So, today's guest is Rashad Giles from Rashad Eats the World, and he is a chef, a content creator, a social media influencer, and a world traveler. What's up, Rashad?
Hey, 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 what's up, Whitney?
Life is good. So happy to have you here. Tell the world
Thanks,
about yourself.
thanks for having me. Like you so graciously introduced me, I am Rashad of Rashad Eats the World. I am a chef and food influencer, and I'm also a newly published cookbook author. Um, I just released my new cookbook, Rashad Eats the World, using your palate as a passport. And it is over 40 recipes of recipes that I created based on my travel experience and my life overall.
Yes, so we are
Mhm.
going to get into all of that on the show today. I want to start with the name Rashad Eats the World. Where did this come from? How did you come up with this? How was this brand born?
Well, I used to be a flight attendant and I flew for like 6 years in total. And during the pandemic, we couldn't go anywhere. So I was stuck at home. And I had been wanting to start a blog where I was blogging about the food that I was eating on my travel. So I had all these pictures and I finally like put them on the internet. And during the pandemic, we couldn't go anywhere. So I started like making the food myself. And that really picked up. Also, my dad and my brother were both chefs. My dad now retired, and my brother has since moved on. But everybody's like, "Is that why?" And I was like, "I stayed away from the kitchen because they were like Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen." And I was like, "This is peaceful," making my little recipe and taking my pictures. But yeah, that's where it was born from. I had time, and I had some stuff in my bag, and I wanted to share, and it took off to my surprise, actually.
So, what is your favorite recipe to prepare?
I can't say I have one favorite to prepare, but my most requested is probably my gumbo. And I think it's controversial living in Houston. We have a lot of Creole people, a lot of people from Louisiana. And, they think they can cook everything the best. Okay, so when I say that, it's so funny because people are like, "You're from Minnesota, you don't know how to cook gumbo," and I'm like, "Baby, my gumbo is good." Okay.
hmm So, let's talk about your cookbook. That is an exciting accomplishment. Thank you for introducing that in your
Thank you.
comments. What is your favorite recipe in that one? Because you said there's over 40 recipes. So, which recipe? Where did it come from?
My curry chicken recipe. So there's four chapters. The first one is home. The second one is the Caribbean, and then we have Latin spice and Asian flavor bomb. So you really get to travel the world like through this book and with recipes. And I say the curry chicken recipe because when I was a flight attendant, a lot of my coworkers were from the Caribbean, and they'd be like, "I love the way you party. I have to take you back home with me." And one of my coworkers took me to Trinidad for carnival, and I had the time of my life. Like it was such a good time. The food was amazing. Like I had curry chicken from a stand, and I was like, this tastes like it's been just cooking and brewing all day, and it was so many flavors. And when I got home, I was like, oh yeah, I need to make this. So that's probably one of my favorites because it's nostalgic to me.
What else can people expect? I like the way that you broke down the chapters, but what else can people expect by diving into that cookbook?
I'm hoping that you can expect to learn a little bit more about me, because there are some passages where I do share like some histories and reasons why some of these recipes are so important to me. Like, a lot of people don't know that like a part of the reason why I have the Latin spice one. I have an aunt. She is Mexican, and as a kid, we would go to her family's house, and they would eat traditional Mexican food. So at first growing up, I was like Taco Bell, yay, Mexican. And then no, I was eating real Mexican food at some point. And then growing up in Minnesota, we have a large Hmong population. They are a group of people from Laos. And just as a kid, I got exposed to different flavors, different Asian flavors. So like Southeast Asian flavors really, really intrigued me. So you'll get to understand why I cook the way I do. And I hope like my hope is that it expands your palate after you taste it if you've never had it before. And then it makes you want to travel to that place and explore that culture.
I love the little sprinkle of you in the book. I think it's so
Mhm,
helpful when we are trying to build a brand or build a following to also share little bits and pieces of ourselves so that people can find ways that they can connect and relate. So I like that personal touch that you
mhm,
added. With the inspiration for your cookbook, I know that you said part of it was travel. I know you said you
mhm.
grew up in a household of people who cooked, but are you inspired by anybody else in this space? Any other chefs inspire you?
So funny. Well, actually, it's not that funny. It makes perfect sense. I am really, really inspired by Martha Stewart. Right? That might be surprising to some people, but Martha Stewart is a brand. Like, not only is she a face, she is a brand. Like, she is the original influencer. And like, that is where I want to expand to beyond the kitchen. Of course, it's going to look different than Martha Stewart, of course, but she is the brand. Like, she has Martha Stewart home, Martha Stewart cooking, Martha Stewart wedding, like everything. And you're going to get Rashad Eats the World cooking, Rashad Eats the World travel, Rashad Eats the World luggage, cookware, home decor, like all of that under Rashad Eats the World. So
Right.
I'm really inspired by her journey and her story.
You gave us a little preview into what we can expect, more of a reason for people to check you out and follow your brand
Sure.
and see your growth and evolution over time. So, I also know that you touched on being a flight attendant and traveling
Mhm.
the world. Tell me, in your opinion, what city, state, or country has the best food that you've ever experienced?
I'm gonna give you my top two because it's hard. Okay. Number two, I would say Greece. Just the country in general. The food was so good and it was just so fresh. And like, I've never eaten a gyro so many times. Like, a gyro and French fries was just like amazing in Greece. So I was like, what's going on? Everything was so fresh. And then I don't know if it tastes good because the scenery was beautiful too, but
That
it was
helps.
delicious. And surprisingly, my friends were like, you need to eat something else. But I'm like, it's so good. I ate fried feta every single day. On the side of whatever I got deep fried feta, and you just squeeze a little lemon on it, and it was just like delicious. And
Mhm.
number one, we're circling back to Trinidad. It has an African influence because the African slave trade went through the Caribbean. It has like a Indian influence, and so, and then the influence of the, like, everything in the Caribbean, and it all melts together in their food, and it is just, oh, the flavors are so good. They're so bright. They're rich. Trinidad's number one.
All right. So I want to bring it back home. I want to bring it back domestically. I want to talk a
Okay.
little bit about Houston, our current home, right? So where I'm going
Okay.
next is when I tell people I live in Houston, they always ask me why, and I tell them top three reasons: diversity, right? Racial and
Hmm.
ethnic diversity. Number two is the food. I feel like
Yeah.
we have a really good food scene. Some people sleep on us. And number three is the weather, of course. But I
Mhm.
want to talk to you about, like, what are some of your favorite restaurants in Houston? Put the people on to something new. Even
Um,
though you're a chef, I imagine you still dine out
well,
from time to time.
I eat out all the time. I think Houston is honestly in like a food renaissance right now. Even a black food renaissance, just because like my circle of friends are black chefs. And some of my favorite things are like from my friends. My good friend, Chef Reginald Scott, he has a barbecue restaurant called The Smoke. And like, you can get barbecue anywhere in Houston. But since he is like an actual chef outside of being a pit master, there's like, there's little things that I feel like a trained palate would be like, oh, did you use? Oh, you're crazy, because no person wouldn't do that. And just to, a regular palate, it's going to be something different about his food that is just like, wow, this is different. I've had barbecue before, but not like this. And restaurant wise, I don't know. There's a lot of good stuff, but there's a group of my chef friends, and every month we do what we call family meal. It's our time to unwind, and it's our time to kind of like show out. Because when you have clients or you work in a restaurant, sometimes you cook the same things. So we really get to be explorative, and it's like sometimes 20 to 30 of us, and we come together and it's potluck style, and that is my favorite time of the month because I get to eat like my favorite things from my favorite chefs in the city.
I love that. You like have a whole community. Talk to me
Mhm.
about you being a chef though. So do you work in an actual restaurant or do you only do special events or what does chef like look like for you?
I call myself a chef influencer. I have not worked in a restaurant outside of like helping out a friend or two. At one point, I tried to start a catering business and I realized like that's not really what I want to do. Because to bring it back a little bit about me, um, I studied musical theater and dance. So I'm an entertainer first. And then food comes second. And so I got to this point where I was like, how can I bring the two together? I'm still kind of trying to figure out like, how do I introduce myself? And someone says, what do you do? Or what industry do you work in? I honestly want to say like food entertainment because I want to teach you something, but I want to be entertaining at the same time. And it's going to revolve around food. The chef title was kind of given to me by my chef friends. I never went to culinary school, but just based on skill because I can cook and then learning how to like work in a restaurant was being like thrown in. A friend like, "Oh, I need help with X, Y, and Z. Can you help me?" And I'm just like, "Okay, I know how to chop it. I know how to mix it. I know how to make it, but like what's your process?" Or, because it's very different cooking in a restaurant versus cooking at home.
Okay, so in the comments you just shared, you talked about how you went to school for something completely different, right?
Mhm,
Entertainer. I would have never guessed that that was your background, but it makes sense because when
mhm.
I follow you on social media, your energy shines through. I feel like you're animated. I feel like you're a character. I'm like, is he like this in real life? I love it. Whatever it is, like you just seem very authentic and fun, like good energy and just like a fun person. So that background is very interesting. Thank you for that context. I think you do a good
Yeah,
job merging your passion with what you went to school for.
thank you.
So I want to talk a little bit more about your book. Well, how would you rate it? Like, is it for a beginner? Is it somebody for some intermediate cooking skills, or is it somebody who's advanced? Because all cookbooks are not made equally. I'll tell you
Um,
that.
you're absolutely right about that. I would give it intermediate. However, I took into consideration that because of my friends and family are like, "Oh, I'm so excited about your book." And I was like, "Well, I want you to be able to make recipes from the book." So I do give some detailed instructions. It's not just recipes, like there's breakdowns and there's reasons why, and there's explanations in there. So, like, one of the things in there I think is really cool, and I hope that people incorporate it into their cooking is the method of brining meat. So, and what that is basically like marinating it and adding more moisture and flavor before you cook it. And this is just in time for Thanksgiving because a brine turkey is everything. But there are things like that and things that you can add to your repertoire. I do talk about how some of the things are a couple of extra steps than what you might do in your everyday cooking, but it's all very, very worth it.
So I asked because I would love to learn how to cook. I am not a
Uh-huh.
person who knows how to brine. I know what it is. I Googled it,
Mhm.
right? I appreciate good food, but I don't know how to make it on my own. I'm a simple person. I'm like, give me the recipe that requires 5 steps and
Mhm.
5 ingredients and half of it you can cook in one pan. Right? I'm that person. So I just want to prep the viewers so that they know what to
Yeah.
expect if they buy your book. But I
When
appreciate that. It sounds like you've been very thoughtful. What were you going to say?
Yeah. Well, when creating it, I thought about people like Martha Stewart and Julia Child. They kind of like they really like taught people how to do things, and so they would break things down. And so that's what I wanted to do. I was like, if you're new to it, if you've never heard of it, I'm going to give you directions on how to do it. Like, oh, I've heard of that before. Oh, that's all you got to do. Because a lot of times the name sounds more fancy than what it really is.
How long did it take you to write this cookbook?
The process was almost a year. We met about it for the first time in January of this year. The initial process was supposed to take like 4 months, but I had some self doubt and I was really doubting myself like, can I do this? Are people going to like it? Like, what if I mess up? I've never written a cookbook before. So, yeah, the whole thing took about a year. I got to a point where I was like, people are asking. These emails are not stopping coming. You have to buckle down. Like, luckily, it had been an idea of mine for a while. So I had recipes just like sitting on reserve. That I was like, if I ever do a cookbook, this is what I want to use. And I got the opportunity. And I was like, once I got out of my head, I was like, calm down. You have recipes already. You know what you want to say, you know what you want to do. So just go ahead and do it.
What was your process? Did you write stuff down in a notepad? Are you a computer person and use Microsoft Word or Google Docs or something? What was your process for getting everything in one place?
So the idea of a cookbook came about in the pandemic, but I didn't know the first place to start. And so I was just like, well, how about you just start writing the recipes? The plan was to do an ebook. And so when I did start flying again, the flights were empty. So our service take us like 5 minutes. So I had a lot of downtime. So I'd be on my computer in the back, just typing away. Or sometimes if I was creating a recipe, I would be writing it down in a notebook as I go along. So that's how those came about. But when it came time to do it, I had to transfer all of that information into the system to give to the publishing company. That was fun. I don't know. I kind of knew what I wanted to say. It's been on my mind, so it was just like getting it done. Mhm.
What you said makes me think about that quote. I'm gonna get this wrong, but if you can't stop thinking about it, you have to do it, right? There's some
Mhm.
quote that says something like that, probably in a better way. But I agree, like if something is on your mind and your heart, you have to figure out a way to do it, get it done, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not the time frame that you want, just get it
Mhm.
done. So I love that.
And I just feel like
So
I couldn't avoid it. Like I wanted to do it, I was scared, and then like the opportunity came to me, and I was like, "Oh, so it's meant to be."
oh, well, tell me more about that. How did the opportunity come to you?
Like I said, I've been wanting to do it, and the publishing company is called Found, and they work with food influencers. And that way, like you kind of have your marketing already built in because you have a following. So you don't need help selling books really. And the way that process works is they handle everything, and all you're responsible for is producing the recipes and selling the books. And I got a message one day, an email, and they were like, "Hey, can you meet?" And I'm like, "Wait, is this the same Found that work with and that does the cookbooks?" So I hopped on the meeting, and they did tell me, they were like, "Honestly, we usually work with people who have more followers than you, because of that fact that we're gonna have to try to sell a lot of books." But they were like, "We really like your content. We really love your story. We like the way you cook, and we think this would be a great opportunity." And I was like, I'm not gonna say, why would I say no? I'm nervous, I'm scared, but why would I say no?
So you said you just had to create the content, put it in the platform, and then sell the book. The publishing company literally did everything else?
They literally did everything else,
Turned
which
into that beautiful hardcover book that I
turned
saw?
in the process was the only difficult part is they're based in Australia, so there was a lag in communication. Other than that, literally all you have to do is submit the content, and they take care of everything else. And they set you up in meetings, and they give you options. You can choose from this, and this. And I was just like, what? I was just, because again, I tried to do it by myself, and I was so nervous about it because I didn't know where to start. There was a million options versus they gave me like 10. So they condensed everything down to make it, easier, and I didn't have to overthink it.
Does your book have photos of the recipes? Like the finished
Absolutely.
product of the recipe?
Mhm.
So how did you create those?
I did a photo shoot with a local photographer here in Houston, and she was amazing because I had this vision of what I wanted it to be. I was like, I don't know how to work my camera. I can't do that on my iPhone. So I called in help, and again, she did amazing. She brought an assistant, and I would say I'm pretty okay at food styling, but her assistant was like, "How about you put this like that?" And I was like, "This is a real photo shoot." It was amazing.
So I imagine you learned some stuff along the way too.
Hmm.
So how do you market your book? It's brand new. Did we talk about that in the beginning? I don't know if people know.
So the book went on pre-sale back at the end of July. During that time, we were still doing some finalizing of the actual book. I just promoted through social media. So making recipes from the book, and then directing the audience where you can go find it. I think doing it through social media is fun because there's these trending things that I can do with it where I can use it as a prop. It really got the word out there. And now, starting November 1st, it's officially on sale. So everyone who ordered on pre-sale, they'll start to get their copies, and anyone who orders it from November 1st on, their copies will be shipped to them right away.
Okay, so what was the most challenging part about writing this book?
Me being in my own way, doubting myself because it was new territory. I didn't have anyone close to me or like that advising me who had ever written a cookbook, let alone a book. So I was entering uncharted territory for myself and the people around me. So I was just like, I don't know what to do. I doubted myself, and I don't know why. I don't know why I did that. But I have the background on my phone that says, if you weren't ready, you wouldn't have the opportunity. Since I had the opportunity, I was like, you're ready for this and you should just go for it.
Another good quote. So Rashad is on Instagram, which is how we first connected. I created a foodie page on Instagram. For those of y'all who know, you know, Whitney HTX, right? When I first moved to Houston to talk about some of my favorite restaurants and things like that. And we connected on there. We followed each other there, engaged with each other's content. So Instagram is where I initially know Rashad from. But he also has a TikTok and he
Mhm,
has a YouTube. So I want to talk to you about that because you have mentioned a little bit about your following, like, oh, you don't
mhm,
have any followers. Your publisher told you that. And in
mhm.
my head, I'm thinking, he has 50,000 followers on Instagram. He's doing way better than my tiny channels. So 50,000 was impressive to me. But my question for you is, which platform do you enjoy engaging with your audience the most? Like, where do you get the most engagement, the most follows? Like, what leads to your book sales?
I'll most definitely say Instagram, because that's where it started. I don't know. I like curated content. I like to tell a story. And I feel like TikTok is a little more raw. You know, I can go on TikTok and talk like this, and people will really resonate with that. But again, the way that I want to grow my brand, I want everything I do to tell a story. I want it to be branded. Instagram is really where it started. So I definitely still engage with my day ones. And I found in the beginning TikTok kind of hard to navigate. And I wanted to find a balance where I didn't have to work twice as hard. I didn't want to make a video for Instagram and then make it for TikTok. I started doing things that were a little different that I felt like would resonate on both platforms.
Yes, as a content creator, having content you can republish,
Yeah.
repurpose, share on multiple platforms is definitely a
Mhm.
time saver. So thank you for that. Can you offer any advice to a person who wants to grow their Instagram following?
Stay consistent to who you are and like who you want to be, who you want to present yourself to your audience. In the beginning, if you scroll all the way down, you'll be like, what the heck was he doing? Because I was trying to do what everyone else was doing, what the people with a lot of follows were doing. So basically, I was trying to have a viral moment. But when I stopped that and I started being myself and I started really defining the brand of Rashad Eats the World, is when I gained true and authentic followers. So stay true to you, and don't let the numbers trip you up. I'm not going to say they don't mean anything, but your consistency and your engagement mean more than the numbers you have up top.
Great advice. So,
Mhm.
what top three words would you use to describe yourself or your Instagram?
Explorative, hungry, and fun.
Tell
Mhm.
them your tagline. Your tagline is so cute to me.
Oh, until the next bite, enjoy,
Yes.
y'all. And that, I say that because that's what I want to leave you with. I want to leave you with a bite of something, whether that was like a bite of knowledge about a place that I visited, about a bite of knowledge about the food that I just ate or just cooked. And I want to see you next time. Like, really, I want to see you next time. Mhm.
Part of your brand gives you the opportunity to travel. This is my
Yeah.
perspective outside
Mhm.
looking in, but it looks like there are some travel opportunities, there are some partnership opportunities. So talk about that, like how this brand that you created, Rashad Eats the World, is now
Mhm.
giving you these other things.
Absolutely. So, like I said, during the pandemic, it started, with the inspiration coming from me being a flight attendant. But during the pandemic, we're all grounded. And I was cooking, and that is the portion that really, took off. Now that I feel like I'm established a little more, I am incorporating more travel. So I kind of slid it in, even though that was always my goal. I slid it in by doing recaps of the places that I traveled. And now I am partnering with Trova Trip to host a trip to Brazil in October of 2025. And so I'm super, super excited about that because not only do I get to travel, um, I invited all of my followers. So I'll get to travel with some of the people who have been following me and who I've been engaging with through the internet. And now we get to go have a travel and food experience together in real life.
That is amazing. So did they reach out to you or did you have to pitch yourself to them to get this opportunity?
They reached out to me, which again, I was like, if you weren't ready, the opportunity wouldn't be there. They reached out to me, and this is like in the middle of doing the cookbook, and I was like, no, this is meant to be. You're supposed to do it. Go for it. And we met. They told me about it. It sounded great, and I was like, let's get it done.
I love that for you. Like, that is just amazing to merge all of your passions and your talents together in
I
the
told
brand
you it's
partnership.
giving Martha Stewart less the jail time. Like
I
We're
hear
gonna
you.
it's coming. And I just feel like I really had to be clear for myself on what Rashad Eats the World is before I started adding new things.
Mhm.
I was a little afraid in the beginning to add new things because I was like, people follow me for this. As I became more consistent with my content, I was intentional about me being the brand. So no matter
Mhm.
what I do, you are here for Rashad Eats the World and the entities of that.
Real quick, tell them
Mhm.
about the trip to New York for the Louisiana fish
Oh,
fry.
yes, yes,
That looked
yes.
fun. Tell me about that.
So I was a finalist for the Louisiana Fish Fry Fried Chicken Sandwich Challenge. That was a whole lot of fun. They chose chef influencers from different cities, from 5 cities. They hosted a challenge in their city. So in Houston, I had to make a sandwich that competed against there was 5 of us. So 4 other home chefs here in Houston. And I entered with a sandwich called the fried Thai using their fried chicken batter. It was a Thai inspired chicken sandwich that had a herby aioli and like a a bright herb salad on top. So there was like a lot of different flavors, and I won the Houston. I should have brought my trophy over. I won the semifinalists here in Houston, and then I went to New York a couple of weeks ago to compete in the finals. So I competed against someone from Atlanta, Baltimore, New Orleans, LA, and Chicago. I did not win. However, I got really great feedback about my sandwich and the experience was great. The other contestants, like, we're friends in real life now. So that was really, really fun. And shout out to Mendea for taking that win because her sandwich was bomb.com.
That is so fun. I just love how you're out here exploring, building your
Mhm.
brand, connecting with people, making friends, or maybe future
Yeah.
business partners. So this is
Okay.
all very inspiring. Thank you for sharing a snippet
Mhm.
of that. But people are attracted to your page.
In the beginning, I wanted to do like this luxury type of thing, but I was like, that's not my real life. I do things that are fun and that can appear, to be luxury sometimes, but I was like, I want to give you the real behind it. I want to tell you how I got here. I want you to know that I'm every day just like you. So my target audience are, people like me, 30 somethings or whoever who are explorative and want to travel the world. My whole goal is for people that look like me to get out and see the world.
Simple enough.
Mhm.
So the show is called The Currency Club. You know I have to ask you some money questions, right?
Let's talk about it.
Okay, so some people think that being an influencer is easy. Some people think you're going to post one video and go viral and make $1 million from it. What is the reality for you as a food influencer? Do you make money from this brand?
I do. At the current moment, I have to hustle on the side, right? So being a chef, I have the ability to cook. So I do have to sell food. Just from Rashad Eats the World alone, it's not paying all the bills, but it's taking care of some of them. I stay hard because I know that one day and one day very soon, it's gonna help me do all the things when it comes to money.
I have faith. I see that for you as well.
Mhm.
Do you think your book will be in stores soon? Is that on your agenda to put your cookbook in any retail stores?
Absolutely. Not this one in particular. This one is only available online. But before I even finished this, I was already thinking about the next one. Once I got to the finish line, I was like, oh, I can't wait for the next one. In the top of the year, I will be announcing a book tour. The cities haven't been determined yet. They'll be based on sales. We're looking at 4 cities, and it will be an experience where we'll get to talk about the book. You'll get to taste some recipes from the book. I'll get to sign your copy if you bring it. And yeah, I'm really excited about that.
I want to give an opportunity for people to learn a little bit more about you, right? Because they say that you can tell a lot about a person based on what they spend their money on every
Okay.
week, every month, every year. So, what do you spend the bulk of your money on?
On food. Honestly, on food and travel. A lot of it is for pleasure, but I justify it by saying, okay, it's for research. This is business, right? If I'm feeling really guilty about a spend and it had something to do with food or travel, I'll expense it in my head by making content around it.
So, what's the craziest thing you've ever done for money?
I mean, like during catering, I should have left this catering. I was working with the family, and they were so rude to me. I don't know what they had going on, but they tried to reprimand me in front of their guests, and they had like 100 guests, and it pulled me to the side and were like to the side, but in front of everyone, and they were like yelling at me, saying that there wasn't enough food. And I was like, "Don't worry, I'll make it right." When I felt like I should have just packed up my stuff and left, and I thought that was pretty crazy of me for sticking around for that.
Look at you, because I might have looked around like, "Who are you talking to?" Because you
I was
can't be talking to me. Look
I
at
was
you being
like,
professional and
I was
sticking with
like,
it.
you see my sign over there, so y'all can don't go write a bad review about me because I'm ready to let you have it because they were crazy.
Reminder to always remain professional.
Uh,
So, what advice would you give to a person who wants to be a food influencer?
I used to hear all the time, like, find a niche and stick to it. But recently I heard someone say, I am the niche. That really resonated with me because, like I said, Rashad Eats the World is multifaceted. It's not just one thing. I would say hone in who you are as a brand if you're trying to build a brand. What is it that you're trying to sell? Who are you trying to sell to? Be the niche, create those things for yourself. Do the research in how you market it. Again, like I said, introducing travel, I was a little nervous, but I sprinkled it in little by little and I saw the response. And then I was like, I'm reeling you in. I'm reeling you in. Guess what? We also travel and you can travel too. It was always in the plans. Staying consistent and remembering you are the niche. And if you establish your brand, the people will show brand loyalty and they'll rock with you with whatever you do.
So, what's next for your brand? You gave us little sprinkles of information throughout the interview, but anything
Uh-huh.
else you want to share?
Definitely another book. Also, what's really big right now is my trip to Brazil, which is it goes live. It goes live this Saturday, actually. So you'll actually be able to purchase. You'll be able to figure out like pricing. You'll get details about the itinerary. So if anyone watching is interested in traveling to Brazil with me, just click the link in my bio and sign up for my newsletter. And also a book tour where we'll get to talk about my book and you get to taste some recipes.
Are you more of a TV person or do you read books?
I'm more like internet TV.
So, what is your favorite TV show or a movie with a predominantly Black cast?
I'm not embarrassed to say this at all. I am a reality show junkie. So, like Real Housewives of Atlanta, Real Housewives of Potomac, what is it, Married to Medicine? They have my heart. You can never make me stop watching. I'm a little nervous about Real Housewives of Atlanta because they recast it, but I'm still loyal to Bravo.
You sound like my sister. Her and my mom, they love reality TVs.
When I was a flight attendant, I had a group of friends and we were like Bravo fanatics. And one of my friends, she got us bag tags that said "Real Flight Attendants of NYC," and it was like the coolest thing. They're like, "I seen someone with that," and I was like, "I know who it was."
That's cool. So, I also want to ask you about your preference in music. If you are feeling down, stressed out, tired, don't feel like creating this content, but I got to get up and do something, what song or album instantly puts you in a good mood?
I just like music in general. Right now, who I just like can't stop listening to is Dunbar Brennan. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
He's amazing. Definitely have to check him out. He is
Give
just
me a
like
song. Give me a specific song I need to listen to for
uh,
me to be like, this is it.
well, one of his really popular songs right now is with K Tronada. It's called Weird. And he's like, why you gotta be weird? Just be normal, like we're human. Just be cool. And then right now what I'm playing on repeat is from one of his new albums. It's called Fist Bump. It's about hugging girls with makeup and always getting makeup on his shirt. So the whole song is like he's like, I can give you a fist bump, maybe and a smooch on the cheek, but I can't give you a hug because my shirt's gonna be riddled with makeup. And I just find that to be hilarious. But as he's making you laugh, this man is singing down.
Okay.
So it's hard to be in a bad mood when you're listening to him.
Oh, I'm gonna check them out. I'm always
Mhm.
trying to add to my playlist, so I will do that. Thank you for that recommendation.
Mhm.
I want to kind of wrap up the interview, so I have a few questions for you to wrap up. And the
Okay.
first one is, what do you feel is your greatest accomplishment?
I don't know, making it to today. And I really, really mean that. Like, life has its ups and downs. There were times where I'm just like, is it all worth it? And what keeps replaying in my head, there's a meme of like this guy, he's like two guys are hacking away underground trying to get to diamonds. And one is this close and he turns around, and the other one is like so far, but he keeps going making it to today because I almost quit so many times.
I hear you. Today is a gift. We have to appreciate it. Cherish these 24 hours. Some people didn't wake up, so I hear you, and I
Mhm.
definitely know that meme. So, yeah. Before we go, I of course need to thank you for sharing your time,
Yes,
talents,
thank you for
passion.
having me.
My pleasure. You were a great guest. This is so
Thank
fun.
you.
Look, why do I feel like I've known him for my whole life?
We
And
finally get to
today,
do
virtually.
that.
I know, right? We're friends in my head now.
We are
But
friends, friend.
yeah, I need you to leave the viewers with an inspirational message.
Enjoy the journey, and understand that your journey is not going to look like everyone else's. And by enjoying the journey, there's no destination. It always goes. So enjoy every moment of it. Enjoy the highs and the lows, even when it's tough. Try to enjoy every moment of your journey.
And with that being
Mhm.
said, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join the club, and we will see y'all next time.
Thank you.